What is going on? We are back with more 99 to beat coverage, and I am very excited today. I have a special guest joining me. Michelle is in the house. Michelle, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you come on the podcast and talk about your journey and how you got on to the show in general. Did you find it somewhere? Did it pop up? How did this happen for you?
It's really interesting because I was up for a different show and the casting director and producers are like, "Yeah, we love you. We want you. We're just waiting to hear back from the network." And so I hadn't heard from them for a couple of weeks, and I reached out to the casting guy and I was like, "Hey, I just, wondered if you had any updates." And he was like, "That show got put on hold. But I have this other thing I think you'd be really good at. Do you want to talk to the producers?" And I was like, "Okay, sure. I'm down." And so I met with them and they explained the premise of the game. And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Like, I'm a former PE teacher, been training my whole life for this. Let's go."
These games are 100% right up your alley. How much did you know about the show going into it, though?
So honestly, we didn't know a ton about it. It was like, hey, there's going to be 100 people competing, musical chairs rules, and you're playing for 100K. And I was like, I mean, okay. They finally told us the name of it. And so then I searched it and found the UK version. So I started watching and taking notes on all of that. But outside of that, we really didn't know much of anything.
Sometimes it's just better to go in with the unknown because if you prepare too much, you could over prepare. What is your background with reality TV in general? Are you a huge fan of other shows, or is this just a show that came up and you said, yes, I'm just doing it?
Yeah, that's actually a really funny question that I have been talking to people a lot. So we got there and I was surrounded, number one, by like reality show super fans, and then by some reality show stars. And to be quite honest, the only reality show that I have ever consistently watched is the MTV Challenge. And I've been watching since 98 when it first aired. Like, legitimately, I remember Bananas getting off in his first season, first episode. I remember Kara's very first fresh meat season. And so that was kind of crazy. Now, my wife Diane's favorite show is Survivor, but for some reason, we had like just never watched it until a year ago, and we were out of shows because we're bingers. We are not like one at a time, and we don't watch something very often outside of the challenge or like the Jersey Shore. And so we had nothing to watch, and she's like, "Let me show you Survivor. It's like one of my favorite shows ever. There's 49 seasons. It's a great show." And I was like, "Okay." And so we went in and I was like, "What season?" She goes, "Well, let's go back to the beginning to at least show you what it was like." And I said, "Okay." And the first season we watched was the season that Sandra won. And I was like, "Okay." And so I was like, "There's all these seasons. Do we want to go in order?" And she's like, "No, just hit it and let's go." So we just held the button down, like the up button, and we stopped on a season, and it was Danny's season. So before I went, I had watched 3 Survivor seasons, and 2 of them, the winners, were standing in front of me, and I was like, "Well, this is gonna be a challenge, huh?"
That's incredible. So you hit it off with Pearl Islands, and then you get to the Guatemala season.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how it works, right? You're not expecting to see any of those people out there, and it happens to be the 2 winners that you had watched. And then you have Cara Maria out there as well from the challenge.
Yeah, and that was also an interesting story because so Sandra was one. I met May first, and we were going to go into London, and we're sitting there, and around the corner walks Sandra, and I was like, "I know you," which I'm terrible at the like recognizing people game. I'm awful at it. And this was one I recognized. And Sandra was the absolute sweetest. And she's like, "You guys want to go into town?" We're like, "Sure." She's like, "Give me your number so we can, go get ready and like whatever." So she's just super down to earth. Awesome. So we spend the whole day together, and she's like, "What do you guys watch?" And like May's rattling it all off. She is down with everything. And I'm like, the challenge. I was like, "I've seen your Survivor. I've seen Guatemala. I've seen, one other." And she's like, "Oh, Danny's here from Guatemala." And I was like, man. And she's like, "So you like the challenge?" And I was like, "Yeah, I watched the Traders season because Bananas and CT were going to be on it. She's like, oh, I love CT, except, my money's. And I was like, I got it. And so we had this whole conversation. So the next morning we're meeting for breakfast. And I'm like a roll out of bed kind of girl. Like I don't take a lot of time to prep. And so I'm the last one up. And I wake up and in our group chat, Sandra's like, I have a surprise for you. And May's like, you're going to love your surprise and this and that. And I was like, guys, what is it? I hate surprises. Like I don't do them. I don't like them. It's like you're telling me, like you're my principal going, hey, stop in my office on your free period. Like nothing good is coming from this. Just tell me. They're like, no, get ready. And so I go downstairs and I turn my head and I just saw the back of Cara and I knew her hair, right? And I just kind of was like, okay. And I just went to breakfast and I was like, is Cara Maria my surprise? And they're like, yes. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I got to get some food. And I just was like, I need to be in this zone. And because I'm not like there as a fan either, right? So I need to like just, okay, a big bucket list item would have been to like ever compete with Cara Maria, right? Because she's a GOAT and she's good at challenges. And so for me, it was just like, I got to compartmentalize this and know I'm here for a job. But it was so cool the way that these things seem to just like happen the way they were supposed to, right? Like it was like fate that these people that I actually knew. And so a lot of times when I watch TV, I'm like, I could totally kick it with that person. I could hang out with them. And those are three of the people that I've said that about. And here I clicked with them all. So it was really neat the way that played out.
Absolutely. It comes full circle. And for sure, Cara is one you cannot miss. You can easily recognize when Cara Maria is in the house. But let's dive into episode 1. It was a big episode. We saw so much happen in that episode. As a viewer, I go already on to the next game. We're moving quickly here, folks. We're down to 84 people by the end of the episode.
Yeah, it was like, let's go. And then, you get to the group challenge and like teams of 12. And we were all kind of like, this is a big first day.
Talk to me about that specific challenge. We'll dive into the other ones, but you already brought it up here. So let's just roll with it because it's random. So you have no idea who is going to be on your team. You could be clicking with various different people beforehand. But once you get in that team of 12, talk me through the strategy before you approach that challenge. Was it stressful? I'm sure it was. But how do you get everyone on the same page so you have the same strategy?
It was super stressful, and especially because, you've been there like a day, and it's kind of like walking in the high school cafeteria. You go in, you find your people. There's 100 of you, so you're not like meeting every single person and able to connect on like any sort of deep level in the first day. And so it's like, well, who am I getting partnered with? So Dee and I had been hanging out. So boom. Okay, I know that I have her and how to communicate well with her because communication is key in any of these group challenges. And then, we had Big Phil, we had David A, who he and I had talked a lot. And Michaela, like she was there with her mom. So like I connected with that because my mom would have 100% been into that. So I had some people that I had talked to at least a little bit, but then I had some people that have just been in different groups. And so it was like, as you were coming together as your team, like we have to figure out how to navigate interacting and communicating, but then also come up with a strategy. And our team was in the second heat, so we couldn't be in the arena for the first heat either. So we had a lot of time to strategize, and I do think that helps. But we did not have anyone who'd played a game like that before. So May definitely had, and you could see that when you looked at the red team and the way that they whizzed through, right? So our strategy was number 1, let's keep everyone calm and communicate and move. And as you watch, you can see like we're neck and neck with Sandra's team, and we're just trying to be methodical and just keep moving. But there was that sense of urgency that I felt as an athlete and someone who has competed a lot. But while I wanted to like yell, like we need to move faster, like I'm with other people that I don't know how they're going to take that. And so in that first group challenge, you're like, I have to kind of hold it together and just try to lead as much as I can. And so we tried to be like cognizant of, Jim had said, getting up and down wasn't going to be great for his knees. So, okay, you're going to start. And initially, the plan was that I was going to be the pourer. And then I said, well, I'm really short. And so we have to make sure that I'm not going to have to be like up on my tiptoes. And so we got in there and we kind of looked, and I was like, I just think that it's going to be me having to really try to get above it, to pour, to not lose any water. And so Beth was like, I've got this. Let's go. You go in the middle, keep people calm, keep the line moving. So we had kind of those things like laid out, but a lot of it was walking in there and seeing it and then making decisions on the fly. And once you were in your spot and that buzzer went off, there was no changing it. So it was like, here we go. We got to just move.
That makes it so hard too, that you can't change it, because sometimes there's situations where you have to almost adapt and say, this isn't working. So that's very different than you see in other shows, because a lot of the time you can make that quick line change and somebody else can take the lead there. And huge difference too, you're not able to actually watch the first group go. Other shows you can, so you can see the strategy behind it. So this one you have to come together completely as a team. Was there just one person in particular leading the group, or did y'all just come together as one and just kind of delegate, and we're just one after the other speaking with one another and just saying, you do this, you do that, and it just came together easy?
Yeah, I think that like initially we tried to just make some like just decisions of like the front of the line will kind of listen here, the middle will listen here, and then the bottom, like whatever Beth needed to do with D, we were like, do it, because you're the end. Like, you are seeing something different than we are. We're just trying to transfer the water to you. And so it was really just like throughout the line, people that could communicate well and clear with each other. That was our only real, like, keep moving, keep your communication positive, stay calm.
Another thing I want to, yeah, absolutely. And I want to point out, because you said, you are competition based and some people might not be as competition based. So the fact that you recognize that and say, I might not be able to, yell at somebody because that could get them to shut down, and then it's toast from there.
Yeah, and there was a moment when David, when we were waiting, he's like, I need you to come out in the hall with me so we can fix your face. And I was like, I just don't understand what's happening right now. We were all fine and now we're not, and I don't understand. It's like, I just needed to like step outside and like woosah. And it's really just, I have RBF. And it wasn't like I was mad or anything. It's just that I'm in game mode and I'm wicked intense. Like, I will lose a friend over a board game because I can get so obnoxious about I want to win. And so I really did feel like I needed to dial back, especially because it was the first day. No one really knew me outside of my group to know that, hey, she's not terrible and like, awful and just screaming at us, and people shutting down because they don't have that. Like, I could yell at D. She knew me at that point to know that it's just, hey, the intensity of the game. But I didn't have that relationship with everyone. And so that was a learning curve for me because I am super intense in competition. And it was for $1 million. I had just found out hours ago it's for $1 million. Like, let's go.
Absolutely. The stakes couldn't be any higher. But I want to reverse back a little bit here. Talk to me about initially when you enter into that big arena there. You're standing in the circle. The first game is about to begin. What's going through your mind?
I was just so exhilarated to be there, standing on that square or that circle and just looking up at these balloons and knowing this is the realization of a huge dream that I've had. So just a little about my background. I come from a single parent household as an only child. So it was like my mom and I against the world. And she had a long-term boyfriend. He's basically my stepdad. So it's not like I didn't have another role model, but like there is something to like just the two of you. And I had lost her to breast cancer in 2010 and it rocked my world. But really what stuck out to me is all growing up, I would hear from her, when I retire, I'm going to do this. When I retire, I'm going to experience this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to go there. And she didn't get to do any of those things. And so after she passed, I kind of burnt my life down And I was like, I'm never going to have those regrets. If there is something I want to do, I'm going to do it. And so I really rebuilt my whole life after that. And so I've been chasing all these very crazy things. I started a gym with zero background in business, just like my fitness training and, schooling. And we made it work. And so then it's like replacing these dreams throughout, right? And at one point I was like, man, I've really accomplished a lot of the things on my list. What's next? And I said, I'm going to shoot for some like big, hairy, audacious dreams. And being on a game show was one of them. And so this moment that I'm now standing here on this spot, looking around this arena at all these people that I have been like, man, I want to be like Cara. I want to win like Danny, and looking up and knowing this is my shot. Like, I was just filled with joy and adrenaline and just excitement to be there. It was so genuine. I think that in that first challenge, if they had showed everyone's faces and just the joy and excitement, it would have been really powerful. And I know you can't see everything, right? But it was like those few moments before you were getting ready to start where it's just grinning ear to ear. And that's like, okay, we got to go. Blank face, game face, And so it was phenomenal. It was such a cool experience.
Thank you for sharing that. I know you're making her so proud, and I'm so excited that you were able to get on the show and have this accomplishment. And it's just so fascinating to watch because, as you said, the joy, the excitement everyone has just even getting there. I know we see the early limbs, but just the emotion from other people, you do get connected where like it's so quick, right?
Yeah, so that was unexpected for me. I have watched, like we said, a lot of the challenge, and you hear people talk about like, this is my best friend, this is this, and you're like, man, you've known each other for a week. What's the deal? Like, chill out. Why are you crying? You just met them. And then it's like you get there and you spend this time where it's you're separated mostly from your support system and your family and just your people. And so you click with people and you bond, and it happens so fast. And so there are a lot of emotions. Then, I would get done with a challenge and I'm like, okay, I have these 5 people that I got to make sure are done. We would get done and be like, are we whole? Are we safe? You know what I mean? And so it's not that you wanted anyone else to go out, but you do connect with people. And I feel like everyone had kind of their groups. And then, as people got out, those groups shifted and changed. And as you met more people and spent more time with them, like it evolved. But I was really taken aback by how quickly and how intensely you connect with people.
As a viewer, you could see it right away because, as you just said, whether it was one specific challenge or another, you see that pocket of 8 to 10 people rooting on that person, telling them how to do it, trying to get them through. And then you slide to the left, slide to the right. There's 8 to 10 people doing the exact same thing, but for a different person.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. And there's a couple of really good shots that you can see that. So like in the ice challenge, you can't tell, but it's like me, and then behind me directly is Cara, and then diagonal is Sandra. And so those are 2 of the people that I'm rocking with. And so you can see when we get done, we're right behind Sandra. And I'm like, I'm going to talk you through this. I'm going to get you through this. Like, I'm a coach. This is what I do, And so you can see then May and Dee and Tommy and just like the people. And honestly, even outside of like a group, everyone was cheering for everyone, which was cool. But you can see that, and you can see everybody yelling and screaming and being excited when people get done. You were just excited for people in general, knocking it out, whether they were from your, little crew or whatever, because it's exciting and it's just, you're happy for people. And so it's very cool for me to see that, especially as someone that's in a gym setting that like kind of caters to moms and not like the super athletes or anything. And so all goals are equal, and we're always cheering people on and giving that support. So seeing that on this scale for $1 million with a group of people who don't even know each other was just like, oh, this is amazing. I love this atmosphere. And the atmosphere was so supportive. I was really shocked by that as well.
I think that's what makes this show so special and so unique, because you don't see that on other shows.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's because we didn't have to play the like social aspect of it. That's very different than most reality game shows at this point, I think. Or if it was just the mix of people or a combination of the two. But it was something really special. And I remember that Sandra said to me, um, no one will ever understand this experience, and no one will ever experience it the way we are. It's season one. It's this, it's that. We're thrown into this and we're all navigating it together. And just as much as you try to explain it, no one's ever going to fully grasp what we've gone through together. And I wasn't really prepared for how accurate those words were either, because I've come home and like tried to talk to my wife about things, and like we're in a group chat with basically like 98 people, and she's like, you won't even be in a group chat with our friends. I'm like, I know, it's wild. But there's just something to going through something like this with other people. It's like that whole blood, sweat, and tears makes different bonds. And so it's just been so interesting to see how that's played out. And even like 50 of us were together for the premiere in New York City. And it was just like, you're so happy to see every single person.
Season 1 is always special. You're the ones that start it all. So you put a stamp on it, and then everyone else has to take that next torch and move forward. But I'm just so excited that you decided to join me for this podcast today. I do have one more question for you, and then probably a follow-up to that. I need to talk about the ice challenge. I have to. What was your strategy going into that? Because there's so many different ways you can go about it. And that was probably the funniest moment to watch as a viewer, what everyone was doing, because it was chaos.
Yeah. So my strategy was to get as much skin on the ice as possible. And so there's a couple of, I'm little, I'm short, and I'm little. So there's a couple of body parts I can do that on. So I immediately went into my pants because I wanted it on my thighs, and I wanted to be able to hit my glutes. And so I spent a lot of time on my thighs, and then I came up to my belly. My chest, I tried a little. I'm a mastectomy patient, not a lot of heat there. But so my goal was I would get it going. And then as when I would check it, I would also try to like huff into it. So I would go back and forth. I also kept my hood up, so my neck was real hot. So I would then throw it in here. But I know like ice burns. Like I've seen a lot of that. I am not an ice person, 100%. I have had multiple injuries. I don't ice things. I broke my foot. There's no ice in my life. I'm a heat person, or I'll elevate it. There's no ice that I'm doing. And so I wish that, we were mic'd up. I wish that they had played it. I was constantly like, this brick of ice is not sending me home. Ice is not sending me home, because it was thick. I don't think it translates to how big. I wish they had shown like it was thick, and you would see the top of the whistle and you'd think, oh, it's close. It was not close. There's no way. But I just kept trying to get it as much skin as I can. Thigh is, cold. All right, I got to take it somewhere else. Got to go the other way, take it somewhere else, and just keep with friction. I knew friction was the key. And then at one point I like rolled over and it's on my glute. That's my other like big body part. Like, I do squats for a reason. So I used it.
I thought with the hood too, a great strategy, because as you said, then it keeps your neck warm and you're able to go there. And we saw people that had the jackets on, they utilized that strategy as well. And, obviously I know this as a viewer, you see it, people get it out in 15, 20 seconds when we're watching it on TV, but that's of course not the reality of it all. How long do you think it took about for you to get yours done?
So everybody who's asked this, I've tried to explain this, and this is the best explanation I can come with. Being in a challenge like that is like being in a Vegas casino. You have really no understanding of time that's passing. And honestly, as soon as the buzzer goes off, I kind of like black out and I'm just going. I know Chaz, who got it first, was done very quickly, like wildly. I was like, what just happened and how did that happen quickly? The rest of us, it took quite some time. I think that I saw on one of Ken and Erin's interviews that she was saying that the whole challenge lasted about 2 hours. And so it just kind of depended where you were at. I would say that the majority of people were probably at least at like 45 minutes. It was a lot. It was very long.
Oh yeah, it's just I love talking and asking those questions just because we know it can't be that quick, but that's how fast they have to show because they have to get to everything and all the other different challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a side note to that, I never got my whistle out. I broke it up enough. My whistle was blown in the ice. I didn't ever fully get it out. I got it out enough that I could get it up. And so there were a lot of people that I saw that were kind of in that same boat. I think Leandra did hers like that. And quite a few of us, because it just was so thick. And so when I realized I could kind of start to get my thumb under it, man, I just dug in and was like, I am going to get enough of this out that I can blow it and be done with it. And so that was one of those pivot moments that you think you have this strategy, because I looked at my block and I was like, I'm going to flip this over. And I thought that that was the better way to do it. And I think that just because of where I had the whistle position and being able to get my hand under it, it was really helpful.
Whatever strategy gets it done, that's what you just have to roll with. That's the name of the game, right?
Exactly. And so that has been very interesting to me. And I wish there was unlimited time, right? That we could watch the whole way that it all played out. But I obviously, with time constraints, I know they can't do that. But, you go into one of these games and you have this idea in your head and you think this is the way to do it. And then you hear or see, once you're done, these other ways and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And so I find it very intriguing to see what other people did to get it done.
Definitely. Well, Michelle, such a pleasure to have you on, coming to talk 99 to beat with me. Is there anything you would like to plug? Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Just stay tuned. It really is going to get good. And I'm so excited for everyone to hear about it. You can follow me at the Michelle Sutton on Instagram. 2 L's in Michelle, the right way to spell it. And just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. And be sure to check out everything else going on at the Reality After Show. I will be back with more interviews, more coverage of 99 to beat. With that, everyone, Michelle, once again, thank you. Take care.